And a major concern over the course of the storm yesterday evening and even this morning is ice, not just on roads, but on power lines. News 10's Heather Good is live in Terre Haute with more on how Area Power Company is dealing with the threat of outages right now. Heather, what have you learned about the issue?
Brady, well, like you've been talking about, ice is a major concern, and it's a concern for everyone across the Wabash Valley this morning because everyone's going to be seeing ice to some extent. Now, I'm live at the Duke Energy facility in Terre Haute. This is going to be a hub of activity where people are coming in and out to respond to any outages throughout the day. I'm joined now by manager Rick Berger. Rick, thank you so much for making time for us this morning.
Thank you, Heather.
We were talking earlier about the response and preparing for these potential outages, and you were saying that 1,500 employees are going to be responding to help in the Midwest alone.
These are resources. They could be contractors, vegetation people, assessors. So we've got 1,500 people trying to bring lights back on here within Indiana, Ohio, and Kentucky.
So I want to talk more about the ice because, again, that's going to be a big concern, not just on the roads, but the ice that's going to build up on those power lines. And you've got some examples for us here. Explain to us what that ice will do to these power lines.
Yeah, so we missed a bullet last night. Thank goodness. Thank you, Brady, for out there. Imagine a wire this size becoming the size of this, and you have maybe 3 or 4 of these. What happens out here is you get more weight on this. It'll just take our poles down, break poles and everything will start falling. But it could go from this, if you got a lot of ice, to this size here. So this is just a good example to show people what it could happen. We can do this light snow, but ice is just a killer for us in our world.
Right, and wind as well, is that right?
Yeah, and that's a good point, Heather, because you start getting that with all that weight, and they call it galloping. They can hit together and cause more damage too.
And that's something that Brady's been talking about as well, wind gusts that could get up to 35, 40 miles per hour later today. So that's going to be a concern. But talking about that ice again, even on the road, cars getting into power lines, and that's where this comes in, right?
Yeah. And this is called a fuse in our world. But, you've heard Rick say out here to the Wabash Valley, be our eyes and ears. Let me give you an education on fuses. This is like a fuse in your house or a breaker. Most of these are behind a home or your living area. But if you see this fuse up, electricity's flowing. If we get a tree to fall in the line, maybe a car wreck or something, if you see something like this out there, we have problems and you'll be out of lights too.
Yeah.
So when you call in, I'd like for people to say, hey, I see a fuse or I see that hanging down out there.
And that will help those crews get out there and respond and know what they're dealing with when they arrive.
Yes.
All right, Rick, thank you so much for explaining that. We've got some information to pop up on the screen for you. If you do experience an outage and Duke Energy is your provider, you can give them a call. You can use a mobile app. You can go online. All that information is there for you. Now, this is something we're going to be talking about all morning long. Coming up in our next half hour, we're going to talk a little bit more about what crews are going to be facing this morning. Live in Terre Haute with photojournalist Dorothy Goforth, Heather Good, News 10.